All right, so another way of us scaling is actually scaling as the trade goes in our favor. This isn't really targets, if you like. This is basically saying, listen, I want to get more aggressive when things are on my side. And how would we do that? So what we might do, the price might come lower, and let's say we've bought a handful here. Now what I don't want to get confused about here is averaging into a position. Now averaging in does get a bad rap because people average in blindly, they double up, they get massive sizes they don't want, and they end up getting hammered because the market just spits lower and they're in a massive size. Listen, that's not averaging up, averaging into a position, averaging down. Do not do that unless you have a plan. Averaging into a position is perfectly acceptable if you have a plan. If you say to yourself, I want to take a 100 CFD position, a 50 contract position, whatever it may be, I'm going to do 10 here, I'm going to do 10 here, I'm going to do 10 here, 10 here, 10 here. That's going to give me an average of here. My total risk is here, which is X thousand, whatever it may be. Fine. That makes perfect sense. That is a structured trade. That's all very good. What you don't want to be doing is it coming down here, I'm going to double up. I'm going to double up. And then not realizing how much exposure you've got to the market. So that's averaging down. I'm not talking about averaging down. Let's talk about scaling into a trade. So let's say the market's come lower. You've got your position here. You've had a speculative long here. It goes your way and starts to consolidate again. And you think, I think it's going to go all the way back up and fill the gap again. For whatever reason, let's not go into the details of how you structured that analysis. But you've decided that's what's going to happen. And then the market sort of tips down here. You've got a bit of a position, starts to push back up. You then add a bit more. You say, listen, that's a pretty decent kind of pattern there. I can put a stop on that batch under that little low, and I can add some more. It pushes up aggressively. Maybe you take some out of that aggression. It unwinds a bit, and then you let some go out. So you can scale in and out of the position as it matures. And if we forget about that scale out, and if let's say you're waiting again for another pullback, and I appreciate I'm simplifying this because I'm just drawing on a chart, and obviously all charts are different. But the point is, if you've spotted that momentum, then this is how you extract the very, very most out of your trading. And this is something that I did when we back in 2006, very, very successfully, was scaling into positions, adding more and more and more until I had big positions because the moves were so volatile on some of the things that I was trading. So I would start off with a small position, I'd get stopped out, I could start off again and get stopped out. When I was right and it was right, I would add. And before you know it, you had a big position ready for that final move, and you could take the whole lot out onto your final target. So that's when you have a broad thesis. So the broad thesis might be, listen, I'm going to reverse, I'm going to fill the gap, I'm going to add to the position here. I'm not so confident here because we're quite a weak market or whatever it may be. If I get stopped, fine. Move in my direction, add a bit more. And what you can do then is you can start to say, okay, well, I'll bring my stop up to kind of separate that risk again and make it so that it's the same risk as I had here based on the amount of profit that I've got in the trade. And same as you add more here, you might then still have the same risk, but because you've got that profit adds to the risk, if you like, you're not actually risking more as you go up. What you don't want to do is keep adding more and more really high up, and the slightest little pullback knocks you out of the trade when you had a really good entry to begin with. So it's a fine art. But that can work very, very well if you have a good volatile market and if you have something that you think you've got a broader move on. This works very, very nicely in swing trading, scaling into a position. Let's say you thought the low had come in for a market, you were buying it, it started to go in your favour, then you had some good earnings out, which gave it a little bit more of a push and a pull back a few days. You bought some more then, something else happened, you bought some more. That kind of thing, building up the position, as long as it's structured, as long as you understand the total risk that you have in the trade, the total risk that you've got on the table at any one time, your total exposure. Obviously, if you're holding positions overnight, in that scenario, let's say you're adding and you had a large position overnight, your risk is still fully exposed, so being aware of that. But that's actually very, very powerful, and it means that under the right conditions and the right time, you can really squeeze the most juice out of being right in a trade.